These are no-bake toasted coconut cookies, and they're kind of chewy, and that particular batch is very sweet. So on this batch here, I'm cutting down the sugar because they're very sweet. Everybody that tastes them says, "Whoo, those are sweet." It's no bake, but it's not no cook. And the hot plate is a lot friendlier to me in here than the oven would be. Okay, my hot plate's going. And what we're going to do first is we're going to melt a half cup of butter, 1 stick. I toasted the coconut earlier today when I made the first batch of cookies because I don't think anybody wanted to watch me stir coconut for 10 minutes. As it is, you're going to get to watch me stir butter for a minute. And when I made it this morning, I used 1.5 cups of sugar. And like I say, that was a little too sweet. So this evening, we're going to be using 1.25 cups. And it's still going to be plenty sweet. Sugar's about half melted, so I'm going to dump that in now. And there's 1/2 cup of milk going in. This is just whole milk. Now the butter's almost entirely melted at this point. And what we're going to do now is wait for it to boil. And then when it boils, we're going to let it boil for a full minute. If you don't do a full minute, it may not set. So I'm going to be sure to do a full minute. And speaking of food and the website, there are now 100 recipes in the recipe box. There's 100 recipes in the recipe box, and you can search for them by name, by partial name, to the point where you can type in a single letter and get every recipe that has that letter in it. You can go by the recipe number. Tonight we're making no-bake toasted coconut cookies. And as I said, they're no-bake, but they're not no-cook. But I don't mind this little hot plate going here. That doesn't raise the temperature in the studio to intolerable levels. Now this says full rolling boil, and we are boiling right now, but I'm going to give it another minute to become a full rolling boil, and then I'm going to time it for a minute. We've definitely got a rolling boil. I don't know if you can see it or not. You might be able to if I switch cameras. Yeah, you can see it down in the corner. And it's still not been a whole minute. Now it's been a minute. We're going to pull this off. We're going to dump in 1.5 cups plus 1/3 cup of quick oats. And we'll just stir those in. And then after we stir that in, we are going to dump in most of 2 cups of toasted coconut, which I toasted this morning. I'm going to put in most of that, but I want to save a little bit for sprinkling on top of the cookies. And I think that's about enough. So we'll stir this in, and I do have to say that when you toast coconut, you do it in a dry frying pan, and you stir it pretty darn constantly, because once it decides it's toasted, it goes from that to burned in about a heartbeat. Now what we're going to do, we're going to put some parchment paper in this pan, and this morning I just used a tablespoon to scoop these cookies out. They were every size you can imagine. So right now I'm using I think it's a 1 tablespoon scoop. They're not going to be very big, but if they're anywhere as near as sweet as they were this morning, they're going to be as big as you want. I think I need to put them a little closer together because I'm going to run out of pan. And these are going to set basically overnight. Anybody counting? I'm not. I'm going to flatten them out a little bit. Okay, then we're going to take coconut and put it on top of each one. I've sprinkled coconut on the top of all of them, as you can see. They set up much better than they were because they were wicked sticky before. But there's enough sugar in these to compete pretty well with any candy bar you ever had. I want a taste of this new one, but here's a little piece. Yeah, that's better. There's 1/4 cup less sugar in this batch than in that batch. And you wouldn't think you could tell that much difference in 1/4 cup, but you certainly can. There's a big difference.